Hi, hello. This is a little different than what I usually do. This is not going to be scripted. This is a tier list that I made for the 50 Horror Classics box set that Mill Creek did. And I will be ranking all of these based on, how much I enjoyed them. So for the first tier, we have Classic, it's genuinely very, very good. And I can point to it and say, yes, this was a turning point in history. This was a fantastic movie. A minor classic is something that, maybe didn't leave as much of an impact, but it's still a very, very good movie. If it's decent, then, I can watch it and say, yeah, this is pretty good. Poverty Row is something like basically Monogram and Producers Releasing Corporation movies. Just movies of that quality. So bad it's good. Typically, it's a movie that's very funny in ways the filmmakers didn't intend. Borderline unwatchable is I did not have any fun watching this, and there are basically no redeeming qualities. Let's just get right into it. The Amazing Mr. X is, I'd say it's decent. It's got some things going for it. The cinematography is very, very nice. The lighting especially, it just has this haze to it that's very, very pretty. The story is kind of like whatever, but the ape, it's not so bad it's good. It's definitely in Poverty Row. It's not one of the worst movies, but it's not super enjoyable either. It's got Boris Karloff and he's running around in an ape suit, but it's not fun somehow. It's Adam Age Vampire. This is another Poverty Row movie. It was made after the 40s, so Poverty Row didn't really exist, but it is a low budget thing, and it's also not very good. The better the movie, the closer to the left it's going to be. But yeah, Adam Age Vampire, it's mad scientist movie. He has a melty face. He kidnaps ladies. It's not very good. Attack of the Giant Leeches. This is a very unfortunate one. I'd say it's a little better than Adam Age Vampire. It's got some cool monster designs. They don't show up in the movie very often, but, it's fine. It's got some very murky underwater cinematography. The Bat. This is a little bit under The Amazing Mr. X. It's a fine little movie. I didn't hate it. It's got some fun banter. It's got a very unthreatening villain, but it's fine. Beast of Yucca Flats. This is hard. I don't know if it's borderline unwatchable or so bad it's good. It's if there was a row in between these, I'd put it there. But I'm leaning towards borderline unwatchable. 'Cause you see it and there's almost nothing to it. It's just people wandering around in the desert and some crazy person talks about the wheels of progress. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. Black Dragons. This is another thing that's not really a horror movie. It's definitely less fun than these other Poverty Row movies. I do not like it very much. It's got some outdated depictions of the Japanese. I mean, yeah, it was right after Pearl Harbor. There would be some resentment there. But it's just, it had its time, and now it's not worth watching anymore. Bloodlust is watchable, but I wouldn't call it decent. It's a little bit above Adam Age Vampire, but it's sort of right in the middle of Poverty Row right now. Bluebeard, this is another decent one. I'd put it right above The Bat, but a little below Mr. X. It's got some good sets. It's one of the higher end Producers Releasing Corporation movies I've seen. John Carradine is very good in it. Yeah, it's a solid little movie. The Brain That Wouldn't Die is definitely in So Bad It's Good. It's so silly. Just the imagery of the lady's head on the table, and it's so clearly just like the actress under the table. It's really bad. And the whole telepathy thing is so silly. Carnival of Souls is a minor classic. It's very slow. It's very slow burn. But it does have a lot going for it. It's just very solid little horror flick. Corpse Vanishes is definitely Poverty Row. I'd say it's a little bit above Black Dragons. It's kind of... I honestly don't remember that much about it. There's nothing really there. Moving on. Creature from the Haunted Sea. This is the highest bit in the Poverty Row section. because I do enjoy the look of the monster, but it's just not very fun. It's got a bunch of... Actually, is it borderline unwatchable? That's a very good question. It's not so bad it's good, because its tongue is firmly planted in its cheek. It knows what it is. So it can't be so bad it's good, because so bad it's good implies some form of sincerity. Borderline unwatchable, the word borderline, that implies there's something it has going for it. So yeah, I would put it at the top of borderline unwatchable, because that monster is really funny, but the rest of the movie is not. Dead Men Walk. This is another tough one. This is Poverty Row. It's above Atom Age Vampire. It does have some cool sets, I guess. It has a little bit of that, like, generic cliche vampire story, but that is itself fun. That's a fun, like, little thing. Dementia 13 is interesting for being Francis Ford Coppola's first movies. I believe it was his first directorial debut. It's just not very fun. It's confusing as hell. I mean, I'd have an idea of what's going on, but like after that axe murder, it's just, there's nothing there. I'd put it on top of Poverty Row. I recognize there are things in it that are quality directorial ideas, but it's just not very fun. And you know what, while I'm at it, you know what, yeah, I will put So Bad It's Good above Poverty Row, because Poverty Row, there's not a lot of fun there. With So Bad It's Good, there is fun there, even if the filmmaking is worse. Doomed to Die is a boring fucking movie. This is going over here. And it loses extra points because of the yellow face. I will call Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde a minor classic. The makeup effects on Mr. Hyde are fantastic. The sets are so lived in and realistic, and it's a period piece, and it just looks the time period. It's very, very good. Also, this is something I didn't mention in the review, but John Barrymore, who plays Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, he's like the great-great-grandfather of Drew Barrymore, who is like a famous actress. That's like a fun little anecdote that I didn't mention in the review. Fatal Hour. This is also very much at the end of Poverty Row. I did not enjoy this one. Giant Gila Monster. It's somewhere between Poverty Row and So Bad It's Good. I'll put it in So Bad It's Good because there is something there. Just the shots of the little Gila monster running around on set, but so much of the movie is just characters standing in a room, lifting their legs on top of things. The gorilla is decent. I don't really care for the Ritz Brothers' shtick, but I recognize that there are things in this movie that may work with some people. Like, I watched Jerma's video on public domain movies, and he seemed to be having a good time with it, so the humor can work for some people. House on Haunted Hill. That's another minor classic. It's got Vincent Price. He's always great. It's got a tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. It's like a fun little haunted house movie, even though the house isn't really haunted. I mean, a movie with a moving skeleton, that earns points in my book. Hunchback of Notre Dame is another minor classic. Lon Chaney's performance is very, very good. The sets are fan-fucking-tastic. Like, holy shit. I hope people were paid when they actually made those. Knowing unions weren't really a thing yet, I doubt it. The Indestructible Man. I watched most of this one intoxicated. This is one of the only movies I watched intoxicated. And it was very funny with friends. So I will give it that it does have that factor of this is really fun to watch with friends. Like that shot of them, like, walking, like, just stopping in front of each other. That's like peak, we didn't edit this part, we're just gonna trim it later, and then they didn't. That is so funny. Invisible Ghost is genuinely very decent. I'd put it at the higher end of the decent spectrum. Very good performance from Bela Lugosi. Some good use of a good understanding of how music can help make a scene scary. It's very, very good. Killer Shrews is another So Bad It's Good one. I'd put it above Giant Gila Monsters because the little dog monsters are very funny. King of the Zombies is... I'd put it at the lower end of decent, because the rest of the movie is just super whatever. But yeah, Manton Moreland is very, very funny. He's so good. He's the shining beacon. You know what? Yeah, let's put it above the gorilla. The Last Man on Earth. This is a minor classic, I'm certain. I liked it more than Carnival of Souls. It's very, very nice. It's an Italian movie, so all of the dialogue is dubbed in later, but Vincent Price is really nice. He's really good. I will say the final act is kind of but, you know, the rest of the movie stands so high up on its own. It's really good. Last Woman on Earth. This is oh, I did not like this one. It's higher than Corpse Vanishes and Black Dragons, I think. It has more going for it. I think Robert Towne, as a screenplay writer, really got his footing here with the higher quality banter, but the rest of the movie is just really boring. Little Shop of Horrors. This was a surprise. I didn't expect this one to be so good. I liked it more than Last Man on Earth, I think. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. It's genuinely very funny. It's very silly. The Mad Monster, that was the one with the werewolf, right? Yeah, this is another poverty row. I liked it more than Bloodlust, I guess. The wolf makeup was okay. Maniac? This is so bad it's good. For sure. This is above Indestructible Man. It's just the fact that like they were trying to be taken seriously with those like endless wall scrolls of those endless Star Wars scrolls of this is how mental health is treated in the United States. There are over 60 billion people in the United States with mental health disorders, and they must be treated with care. And then the fucking like movie shows a guy squealing like a pig because he's crazy. You don't understand. He's off the chain, and all of the acting is so fucking bad. It's like, is it fair to say it's The Room of the 30s? I feel like there are other movies that could have that distinction, but Metropolis, that's a classic. It's so influential. It did so much for the science fiction genre. Just the visual design of everything. It's a sight to behold. Monster from a Prehistoric Planet, or GAPPA, I really enjoyed. It's not like a major classic in the kaiju genre, but I really enjoyed it. I'd say it's a little below Little Shop of Horrors, because as a kaiju fan, I really love those miniatures. I really love suitmation, but some of those problematic elements held it back, I think. The Monster Maker. Fun fact about this one, I forgot to include it on the list as I was watching the movies, so I had to go back the day of the third part's upload on YouTube to go watch it and then record it and then edit the video. It was a mess. This is another poverty row, I think. It has a couple funny elements, but it's just not great. I'll put it above Attack of the Giant Leeches. In fact, I think I'll put The Mad Monster above Attack of the Giant Leeches. Attack of the Giant Leeches was really boring. The Monster Walks. This is definitely another poverty row. I'm putting it slightly below Dead Men Walk. It's just, there's a gorilla walking around. I don't remember much of the plot. Night of the Living Dead. This is a classic. This is one of my favorite movies of the box set. It's just, there's so much tension between the characters. The cinematography, oh my god. This is peak independent filmmaking. Nightmare Castle. Yeah, I guess this was decent. I didn't really have a strong connection to it. Nosferatu, this is a classic for sure. I think I like it more than Metropolis. It's definitely less extravagant than Metropolis. Max Shriek. I know I used both in the video. Max Schreck is a fantastic, like, silent actor. He's so good. And the imagery of his shadow moving up the stairs is just so iconic. One Body Too Many was decent. I rated above the gorilla. I think Jack Haley is a very likable actor. And I'm not sure how much of that is just nostalgia from The Wizard of Oz, because I recognize his voice as the Tin Man. I'm like, oh, I like his voice. But yeah, One Body Too Many is fine. Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. Borderline unwatchable. This was really fucking bad. I put it above Creature from the Haunted Sea, though, because it wasn't obnoxious and unfunny, but it was really dry and not engaging at all. It was just actors walk into room, recite lines, the end. Phantom of the Opera. This I would put above Nosferatu. I really connected with it during this watching. The set design is fantastic. Lon Chaney Sr. is a fantastic performer. It's great. It's probably my favorite silent movie. Revolt of the Zombies. I did not like this one at all. Go fuck yourself. Their screaming skull is definitely so bad it's good. I'd put it... You know what? Yeah, let's put it above The Brain That Wouldn't Die. The plot is just absurd, and it just keeps introducing all these silly little threads that don't go anywhere. But yeah, they don't really end satisfactorily, so yeah, maybe I'll just put it below Brain That Wouldn't Die, actually. It's something you can show to your friends. I'll say that. A Shriek in the Night is peak Poverty Row. Yeah, I didn't really like this one. It had a good opening, but the rest was just people in rooms talking. I hate it. Swamp Woman was on the higher end of borderline unwatchable. It was not good at all. I did not like any of the characters. It was unexciting, very repetitive. Just sucked. Just get out of here, leave, go away. The Terror, I'd say it's on the lower end of so bad it's good. No, it's not decent. I don't think it's decent. But I'm not laughing out loud at how absurd the plot is or how wooden Jack Nicholson's acting is. I'd say it's at the higher end of Poverty Row. There was a budget here, but that's only because it reused sets from other Roger Corman movies, mainly The Raven. The production history is more interesting than the movie itself, I'll give it that. Tormented it's at the higher end of so bad it's good, probably. Yeah, a little bit below The Brain That Wouldn't Die. Because it's almost decent. There are things in it that work. But when the fucking ghost head shows up and he wraps it in a little cloth and he accidentally drops it. It's so silly. The Vampire Bat. Yeah, this is another Poverty Row. I didn't really care for it. It's above Monster Maker because there's more quality filmmaking here. Monster Maker was just a shitty B movie. I put it above The Ape too. In fact, I think I'd put Bloodlust above Attack of the Giant Leeches because at least things happened in Bloodlust. White Zombie, I will say it's decent. I'll put it right about here. Yeah, there are some great things in this movie, but the acting is like, the acting's pretty bad. But it does have that atmosphere. It's a very slow burn atmosphere. The World Gone Mad. Into Poverty Row you go. You're not a horror movie. Why are you on this box set? But yeah, here this is my list. This is what I've got. This is how I would rank these movies. I will link this tier list in the comments below or the description, so you could, if you've somehow seen all of these like I have, then you can make a tier list too. It's 2 a.m. I'm going to bed. Have a good one. And as always, I would like to give a very special shout out to my $5 Patreon supporters, CMG, Red Comet Harry, Marpzilla, and Space Hunter M. Thank you very much.